I still remember the summer day of 1994 when I learned with a couple of friends of mine that Mortal Kombat 2 would be featured in our local arcade, and like expected from any other teenagers back then who would be playing Mortal Kombat at that time. Of course, we all went nuts. I haven't really gotten into Mortal Kombat that much because I didn't have a home system where I could play it, like on SNES or Genesis or Mega Drive. We didn't have that back then, so we only had the arcade. And I've been living back in those days at a holiday resort near a pretty big lake here in Central Europe, where tourism is pretty high throughout the summertime, and we usually get very good weather. And due to that, and a lot of the tourists that are coming to this place, it's usually a pretty big life around the time of summer, and that's when the arcades are open and full with games and people. Actually, for the rest of the years around these parts of the country, arcades and all other pubs, bars and stuff like that are closed. So I've been, I think, just finishing my 5th grade in primary school back then, and we've been playing Mortal Kombat since about a year, but due to the fact that arcades were only open throughout the summer, this meant that I only played barely Mortal Kombat 1 the previous summer. Of course, when I started playing it and got pretty soon hooked upon it, spent quite a lot of time with the game, and I became pretty decent in MK1 over the first summer, which was basically 3 months, and I did spend pretty much all of my spare pocket money on that machine, and with the rest of my friends. So we were just basically camping around the arcades back in those days. Even when you weren't playing the game, you were somewhere around it in the arcade, and just waiting for somebody else come by to play it, and just to see some action and to learn some stuff. So that's how things went back then. And we didn't have any internet, of course, back in those days, and the only piece of information we got with regards to a sequel were from various gaming magazines that we had, and one of them featured Mortal Kombat 2 around Christmas time in 1993, I believe. It had a couple of pictures about the player select screen and some of the hidden fighters, and showed a Goro type of sub-boss called Kintaro, which looked very ominous and cool from the pictures. So, the whole article was like half a page long. Didn't really, tell much in terms of what the gameplay was or whatnot. It just had some of the news with regards to how many characters, what type of gameplay roughly you could expect, but it was just to sort of build up hype. That hype was already there in us right after Christmas of 1993. So we had to wait like 6 months for the arcades to open up and see if we would get Mortal Kombat 2 in our local arcade or not. And when it turned out that we would get it, I still remember it, my heart was just like almost like jumping out of my chest, and we were riding a bicycle with a couple of my friends, and we were like crazy rushing down to the arcade, which was actually pretty close to the beach, so a pretty beautiful resort, so to speak. And when I got there, it was already playing, and I think I've been 10 or 11 years old back then, and I was a normal sized child, in terms of height, and well, the actual arcade machine, you know, was just huge. I mean, and the whole artwork, when I first saw it, it just blew me completely. You know, with the Raven on the sides and that huge Mortal Kombat 2 logo and marquee on top. Just looked, you know, great. And what really struck us, I mean, we like Mortal Kombat 1 a lot in terms of sounds and everything, but MK2 was just, you know, in all ways all over the top of the previous installment, and we just couldn't believe our eyes and ears what we saw. The sounds were, you know, just amazing. The whole arcade was filled basically with the sounds and music of MK2. Everybody was standing around Mortal Kombat 2. Everybody was running around like an idiot, and you know, rumors started to kick off pretty easily and pretty fast by the time it was in the arcade for a couple of days. But you know, people having seen things which, you know, of course sometimes or most of the cases was just bullshit, but in MK1 Reptile just happened to be, you know, sort of like a gossip as well, which turned out to be cool. And with regards to Mortal Kombat 2, we didn't knew, you know, that much. We just saw that, you know, oh my god, so many new cool characters, and the whole atmosphere of the game with the new levels, with outward being added. It was just amazing. The first time I saw it, we already had a guy there who was, I think, around 20 years old, like at that time. He was supposed to be some cool guy. I think his nickname was something like Magician, and he'd been playing with Scorpion and Kitana, and right from the get-go he showed us some stuff what we could do in terms of Mortal Kombat 2. Now MK2, just trying to think back how much it cost to play it, but let's say I think it cost about double the amount of coins. I mean, in Hungarian forints it costed 40 forints. So I don't know how much it costed back in the day in the US and elsewhere, but here in Hungary it was, you know, it was very expensive, because normally you could play a game from 20 forints and this one costed 40. So it was sort of like a high price game, and I think within 1 or 2 couple of days we managed to get sort of like printed out papers and photocopies of move lists from somebody, which we then treasure on throughout the whole summer, and, you know, keep it in our pockets, and then after about a month in our heads. But back to the, you know, first day experience. So we were just rushing down with the bicycles with a couple of my friends, and there was a huge crowd. Not huge, but around 10 or 15 people. I mean, for that particular arcade, for a single arcade machine, having 10 or 15 people standing around it was, you know, pretty huge. So and I was pretty small back then, so I was struggling to get near the arcade, and playing it for the first hour or something like that was out of the question, because, you know, big guys were playing it, and you basically had to stand in a row. So the first time I saw the gameplay of MK2, I mean, it was just mind-blowing. The guy who was playing was doing a run from player to side with Kitana. She was doing the sort of AI trick, or you know, the body move trick, or at least how we call it, body move, when you are playing from player to side and are sort of able to easily defeat the opponent from player to side up until Kintaro. So see, he was doing that with Kitana, and we were just amazed about the, you know, backgrounds and the fatalities that he was able to pull off. Well, he could only do, I think, the you know, head chop fatality with Kitana, and then pit move, and I think the Deadpool fatality. But you know, we were just wow, amazed about what was going on. And then after about 10 minutes he got to Kintaro, and I mean, I've been you know, pretty much rolled over by Mortal Kombat 2, how great it was already. But when I saw Kintaro, and you know, it just looks so fucking great, and the guy looked like, you know, really evil and so like terrifying. He looked much more menacing than Goro did in MK1. He also looked, you know, bigger, and for the first time he managed to beat that guy who was playing. But then he would come back with Kitana and, you know, do the sort of like fan lift spamming move against Kintaro, so he was able to beat him. And then he got up to Shao Kahn, which was another highlight for us. I mean, I already liked Shang Tsung. I think he was a great boss. Actually, he was the best boss, I think, in all of the classic Mortal Kombat. He was better in terms of challenge and coolness than Shao Kahn. Just Shao Kahn, it was much more different. I mean, nowadays he's pretty easy, very cheap boss character, but seeing him for the first time and hearing him from the first time taunting the player, it was just so cool. And I was just blown away. And actually, that guy who was playing there, he was able to beat Kintaro for the second time, but he couldn't beat Shao Kahn, so he was defeated there. But it was still a blast to, you know, just to see the gameplay. And well, after I think we had to wait like an hour, and then we could, you know, start playing ourselves as well, because we got ahead in the row. And I remember I have picked Reptile as the first character, or it's the first choice in Mortal Kombat 2 on the arcade. The reason for that was that I thought, you know, he was really cool in MK1 in terms of being a hidden character, so he must be awesome in MK2 as well, which he is. But you know, playing MK2 for the first time was just incredibly hard, and I think I managed to get up until the fourth guy, maybe. I was playing from player one side, and somebody showed me the acid spit and then the force ball as well, and I could go invisible, which is of course completely useless against the AI, but you know, back in those days it just made you look cool fighting invisible against the AI. But I didn't know any fatalities at all, so I was just defeated pretty easily. But I didn't mind that, because, you know, I know that it takes a lot of time to learn these things. So from that day on, we kept going down with a couple of friends of mine, and we were sitting around the machine, you know, watching as other players would play it. We were pretty noobs with MK2, and right now you can just go on YouTube and, you know, watch any playthrough or walkthrough for any sort of game that you are having problem with. But back in those days it wasn't the case. You had to either figure it out for yourself, or you would have somebody else coming into the arcade, play around, and then you would have to, you know, peek around the corner and watch how he's playing, and, you know, just quickly sort of make notes in your mind what he did, or asked for, you know, tactics and tricks and tips. So that's how it went on. And we didn't have many senior, so to speak, Mortal Kombat 2 players back at that time, so it was sort of like a problem, you know, getting to learn the game the easy way, or how to play it. And if you don't know your stuff in Mortal Kombat 2 or how the AI reacts, I mean, it's I think it's still it can be a very, very hard experience or frustrating experience, because the AI will just own you. Once you figure out what the AI is doing and how you can work around it, it's a whole different game, and it's much easier and still a lot of fun. But it wasn't the case back then. So we were going with the easiest choices back then. Like I said, I mean, I've been playing Reptile for the first time. Then I saw that, you know, with Baraka it was pretty easy. You just had to block and stand and wait for your opponent and to approach and do the chop chop move, and it could be pretty effective, with the exception of a couple of annoying players or characters like Liu Kang or Milena. Against those guys it just didn't work, so I started playing with Baraka, and I started learning the finishing moves. And here again, head chop move was it was pretty good, so to speak. Although I know it sounds, you know, how should I say, very, very sick. Somebody saying that the head chop move, but it's pretty cool. But this is a game, and I don't mean to rip off or cut off the head of anybody at all. It's just a game. So, but when I saw the deadlift move, you know, when he takes out the big claws or the swords basically from his arms and impairs his opponent, that was fucking brutal, and we just couldn't believe that it was happening. It was, you know, that brutal and shocking, but nevertheless cool. So from that time on, I've been playing with Baraka quite a lot, and actually it's just now on the screen. So because he was the easiest pick, and he was also very effective against Kintaro and Shao Kahn, and for me eventually he was the first guy that I managed to beat the game with, although in a very tedious way, just doing the chop chop move basically, but it was still a win. Last but not least, with regards to first-hand experiences and first-time experiences on Mortal Kombat 2, once we started learning how the game feels and how it really played, the whole thing became much more easier and much more likelier, and we were just sucked into the whole phenomenon that was Mortal Kombat 2 basically. I mean, it wasn't just like that. We liked the game, we liked everything about it. We liked the music, we liked the arcade machine, the artwork, we liked the story, and I really liked the story of MK1 as well, although it didn't really have much of a story, more like just small character stories or bios, but it sort of had the dark mood. With this one, with the sequel, they just went over the top with this whole artwork thing, and like I said, in terms of arenas and places where you would get to fight on, we just couldn't believe our eyes what we would see. And here again, this intro that was constantly playing, you know, while in demo mode, it was just awesome, with that awesome music going in the background. Up until this day, I think this is the best intro ever made for any arcade game. It's short, it does show, you know, quite a lot from the game, and it gets you into the mood right away. So it just makes it a perfect intro for me, not just because that it's Mortal Kombat, but due to these facts. So after about a month or 1.5 months throughout the summer, we became pretty good with MK2, and we started learning the trick how to play the game from the player 2 side, and that's how we, once we figured that out, that's how we've been playing it eventually. Throughout the summer I tried out most of the characters as much as I could. In terms of games, I did play at least 5 or 6 games on a daily basis on the arcade, and considering how much it cost, I did spend, like I said, all of my money, which I didn't regret it actually, because once we ran out of money we were just sitting around the machine waiting for others to come by and play, and that didn't happen either. You know, we were just going down to the beach having fun, swimming in the lake, and you know, later on going out playing football. So from this perspective, I've been, you know, in a very lucky position, because the place that I grew up is an excellent place. It's got sort of like everything, and but it's really like a nice beach resort. So due to this, the arcade where I was playing MK2 as well wasn't located in some, you know, back street alley filled with smoke and you know, dubious people, but was right next to the beach. It was pretty much open. I could see the lake and the beach, you know, constantly, and you know, it was just it's a pretty good place to be back at that time. So like I said, everybody was from my most guys from my age at that time was playing, trying to play Mortal Kombat, and at least half of the guys who started playing Mortal Kombat stick with it throughout the summer and the following years, and I just happened to be the most, you know, devoted ones. Basically, we knew the owner of the arcade as well, so I mean, I can still remember. I know it's pretty weird, but arcades were opening at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we've been sitting on the stairs in front of the gate at 8 o'clock in the morning, and just, you know, waiting for the guy to come and open up the shop, and so that we could get our Mortal Kombat fix finally. And I mean, it was really sort of like being a junkie of this game. I mean, I wanted to see it and wanted to play it as much as possible, and up until this day, Mortal Kombat 2, not just in terms of the Mortal Kombat series but other games as well, is the game that has had the most impact on my life. Although it's just a game, I still up to this day spend quite a lot of time on playing Mortal Kombat, and especially this one. It just sort of like never gets old for me, and it's something that I really love, you know, doing on over and over again. I just can't get, you know, enough of it, and like I said, I did spend quite a lot of money on it, not just in the arcades, but I managed to buy an actual arcade machine as well, you know, and I'm buying all of the stuff that's sort of like MK related in one or less way. So I'm spending a wealthy amount of money on eBay as well, and thankfully my girlfriend is pretty much okay with this. She doesn't mind this hobby of mine, and so yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty weird, but you know, a game can mean so much to somebody. But for me, this is really like, you know, it's more than a game, and it's not just that the game was great when it came out. I mean, when I think back of Mortal Kombat 2, the things that come into my mind are, you know, that particular summer, being together with friends, going to a lot of places. So not just game, but you know, everything is tied to Mortal Kombat in some way, but you know, not just Mortal Kombat related. But I did get to know a lot of people through this game, and I still think it's amazing what they managed to come up with in 1993. I mean, this game still stands the test of time, and it's going to be able to do it for forever. I think in terms of fighting games. I mean, as long as there is, you know, somebody or fighting game enthusiasts will be, this game is going to be not forgotten and remembered, you know, very warm-heartedly. It's no wonder that, you know, Midway or NetherRealm Studios is, you know, coming back to Mortal Kombat 2 and classic Mortal Kombat as well, because this is the era where this was really big, and this is where it was when it was really great. And I would really like to see, you know, something like this emerge sometime in the future from the new Mortal Kombat series, but I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Not just because of the game, but this game for me is still great and was great, not just due to the game, but due to the whole atmosphere, due to the whole arcade community that we had there. And like I said, it wasn't a bad thing. I think it wasn't like, you know, it was like drug dealers and junkies all over the place, but it was sort of like a place to meet friends and be together. So I really cherish those days, and I'm glad that I have been able to be part of it in one way or another. And as for myself, I'm gonna try to keep sort of like the memories and Mortal Kombat alive and going as much as possible, because my love for this whole series and especially this title is just sort of like never ending. So that's about it. And well, additionally, I wish you guys all a happy new year and all the best for 2013.